All right, this is a really nice house here over in an older neighborhood that one of our previous customers has recently purchased, and it's going to need a total system complete makeover. Going to make some big alterations here. It's got one system now that feeds a bigger full finished basement, and of course the main floor up top. And we're looking at putting in a 20 S.E.E.R system with zoning so that the basement is controllable. Pretty cool little car there. I think that was his dad's. So anyway, I'm going to go in here and run a couple of spot wires so that we can see. This is going to be the big band practice room here. And I don't know if you can hear that return right there. It's really loud. And so the existing unit, of course, right there just feeds immediately out of the back of the cabinet right into the return. And of course that's one of the main problems. But there again, and it's a shame. They got a 2-year-old 4-ton Trane outside unit and coil, and then this old furnace that's original, but anyway, not original to the house, but from the system prior to the AC that's in it now. So we're going to change some things around here on all this duct. I'm going to go upstairs and run a couple of spot wires, and we just use these insulation, we call them tiger tooth, and we run them through the floor and come down here and look. I think everybody probably does that. So let's go up here and take a look at what we want to do. Okay, so right now there's a return there in the foyer and one in the hallway. There's the thermostat. We'll keep those even though they're kind of a joke. You know, there's no, you can see that it's right there. There's no box behind them, so, and that's in the bedroom, so there's no way to make those any bigger. So what we're hoping to do is install one right there in the wall. And so I'm going to go in here in this closet, which will be back to back right there with that. And we're going to run a spot wire through the floor and go underneath and see how bad that invades the garage, or wherever that puts us, that we're going to have to get a large, probably a 16-inch duct. Okay, so what we're hoping to do is put a 20 by 25 straight through that wall and a 16-inch duct straight through this floor. Not sure exactly which way we want to do it, but I do know this is the spot, so let's make sure we can use it. Alright, so you can see that I ran the wire through, and I think what I'll do, whoops, I think I'll pull that off of there, and I'll come up here and bend it over if indeed we can use it. If we can't use it, I'll pull it back out and look for an alternative spot. Okay, there's where our spot wire came out. So That means the wall is basically running right here. So the grill will be there and the box will be here to where the duct comes out here, and we'll probably go over there to the wall and run the duct along the wall. We'll come in under that duct, and we're going to redo a whole bunch of stuff here to where all this busyness completely gets changed. And I ran another spot wire that came out right here and hit the duct. So obviously this will have to go down, but this will be a 4x12 boot with an 8-inch duct on it. We're going to do away with this. So in here, the purpose of that design will be, we'll do away with that and put a 14x20 with a small duct to it, either an 8 or a 10. I haven't decided yet. We will keep that 6-inch run, and we will come over here to where the spot wire added is. And this will be our 8-inch run, and we'll use one of those directional grills that's not a 2 or a 3-way. It lets you adjust each grill, and that way we can point it all straight, mostly that way, and a little of a sweep there. That'll put an 8 and a 6 in this room, and that is likely why we will make that a real small return, probably an 8-inch duct on it, plus we want it quiet. This room here has a 6-inch duct in the ceiling, and it also has a 6-inch supply duct there that comes from under the stairs. Also in this room, there is a 6-inch vent going into this bathroom, going into that great big grill there. So there's basically 3 6s in this room. So this room and this main room here is all that will be conditioned in the basement. And that will create the basement zone. And if I don't like my air test results, I'll add one in here over the washer and dryer, but that is not likely to be necessary. So what we'll be doing is we'll be separating this trunk line and that trunk line from being mixed top and bottom floor runs to being all just bottom floor runs and all just top floor runs. And that way we can damper them on the new plenum accordingly and create the zones. So up here will be our main zone, and they're doing quite a bit of work. Up here is living and dining area here, and they're redoing the kitchen now. And this is what we call a den, basically a non-formal living room. There's a foyer, and all the bedrooms are back here on one hallway. So this is where the 20x25 will be. We're going to keep these returns. This is where we'll put our 1050, our main control. And then in the bottom, we will use what's called a 940. And the 940 is a zone control, but it will only control the zone that it's in. So from the top, you can work them both. And from here, somewhere above this return, I don't know if this is staying or if it's active or what, but somewhere above this small return, we'll put a 940 that allows them to control this zone. So let's take a quick look at the outside unit and make sure everything's going to be okay there. All right, this is where they've got their unit now, and I tend to want to keep that big foundation and just put our black plastic pad in the place of that gray one there. I think they're 4-ton now. I think that's what this is. At least that's what the coil is. And this could be, oh yeah. So anyway, I'm not real crazy about the fact that the lines come out and kind of look a little goofy there, but that's okay. We'll work with that. Looks like the low voltage wires are a little jacked up. And like I was saying the other day on another video, with a straight air, they give you a tiny, single direction filter dryer. It's just not very big, but that's what Trane says is big enough, so that's what we install. So we'll gain some footage when this is being done, if anything is interesting that we run into. Other than that, we'll do some after footage and make this a complete video. So we're going to get started tomorrow morning, so we'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching. All right, we have finished our part, although it looks like they're doing a lot more work here. They had told us they had plans for a circle drive in front of the house, so I guess that's all sidewalk and stuff they took up. So let's take a look at our system we installed, and they said it is extremely nice and balanced very well with the zoning for the top and bottom floor. They're very happy with it, very quiet. And so you saw some of what was here. So here is our 20 S.E.E.R air conditioner, and it is a 4-ton, and it's running right now. Which direction that fan spins on the camera. Very quiet, as you can hear. And because of the places the line set went through, we just flushed it and kept it. And of course we pressure tested it and everything. And we put the unit right back like the old one was. So let's go take a look at the furnace, the zoning components, and the controls. Now it looks like they had to put a cover over the Miata. As you saw, that was a pretty neat looking car. And this is all existing ductwork from the 70s. You can see the real thin, I don't know, R2 or 3, maybe R4. There's been a few pieces patched and replaced. And we had to run this large return over here. Wasn't exactly what we wanted to do, but the cost difference of the rectangular was just something they didn't want to deal with, and they didn't care about the garage out here. It's a really deep garage, so with this car here, they still have a full parking place here and a full parking place here. So this is a really nice house, and it's certainly going to be even nicer when they get done. So let's go in and take a look at the furnace. Okay, as you remember, it had a return going straight out of the back of the furnace into the other room there, into what's going to be his studio room. And so we had to add this small one here, and it's just an 8-inch is all that is. And we brought it all the way over to the plenum before the filter. And then this is an existing return that goes upstairs to those two very minimal useful returns, but we did decide to keep them just to get some better spread through the house. So we put a boot and a 10-inch flat tap and hooked it to the return plenum on this side. Now it's got two filters, as you see, because this return that we added, you saw coming through the garage, it's actually the primary return, and so that's going to get the most of our 4 tons there, and the other side we'll call those helpers. But so it's got the 2 filters there, a very nice communicating 2-stage variable speed Trane gas furnace, and we did put a new internally lined plenum up. There's our temperature sensor for the limit on that. Now we had to add dampers to all of the lines, so there's quite a few dampers. You can see one up there. Let's get the light on. You can see one up there on that main line. You can see one here on this main line. There is also one on that one, but we just moved it over here where it'd be easier to access it if we ever had to. So those are the big 3 main lines. Here's a 6 that comes off, and here's another 8 that comes off to go into that room there, which we added. So the reason we added that, I'll show you when we get into that room there, was for noise and for throw and everything. Now we moved the double wall, well actually it was all single wall, going over to the water heater. So we ran it behind the coil there, and there's the 3-inch coming from the water heater going into this increaser, and here's our pipe from the furnace. And you can see that it's quite a bit busier. There's a lot more going on than the old unit had sitting there, but very functional, very quiet, very nice, and they are very happy with it. Now this is our zoning panel here. Obviously quite a few wires going into this, and somewhere there will be a static pressure transponder. There it is. It's mounted on the plenum right there, and here's the line going in, and here's the line coming down into the return. And those are the static pressure sensors that will help set up the zoning. And I think once it's set up, I think it never uses those again, but nonetheless, it is working very well, and they are very happy with it. Now, it took some work to separate these trunk lines from bottom floor to top floor because they were kind of mixed. So we had to do a couple of things that weren't really extremely flow conscious, as you might say. Maybe not exactly how we wanted them, but we did the most we could with the budget they had, which would allow us to give them the most important parts, which were definitely the zoning and all of that, so that we didn't have to put 2 systems in. So we're pretty happy with it overall. Let's go out here and take a look at the controls and some of the living spaces. Now this is the main studio that he's going to have for several things. I think this will end up being his office. There's a bathroom in here, so there's a vent in the bathroom. There is one vent in the ceiling of this room, as well as one vent right here. So those feed this room, and they feed it very well. How you doing, sir? And this is where he's got his office temporarily set up. And as you can see here, this is why we call this a studio. His band will practice here. And right down under there, if you remember, is where we eliminated the return that was directly out of the back of the furnace, and it was extremely loud. This is the 8-inch run that we added up high, and so it really sails air. Looks like they've had it loose because they covered up some paneling here. So for whatever reason, they don't have the screws back in it well. So we got rid of that return, which was loud. We ran a much smaller one over here. That's just got an 8-inch pipe to it. And then, so we have that vent right there feeding this room, along with this 8, which should count as almost 2 6s. So he says it does a great job and that it's really quiet. So the band will practice in here. And so now you see why we call this a studio. He's coming right along here. Now his auxiliary control, which will control this zone only, is a 940, this is called. And it does light up and it is touch screen, but it will control this zone only. He's got it set to 71 and it's 71 in here. So let's go take a look at the main control upstairs. And we'll get out of their way. All right, as I showed you before, these are the existing returns that really didn't do a lot, but we did choose to keep them. There's one there, and there is also one here. There we go. And that's what that small, looked like about a, 10 by 12 or 10 by 14 rectangular duct was feeding. And this is the one that we added. And this has a 16-inch pipe to it to keep it quiet, and it's a 20 by 25. And it's not quite as deep as I would have had it if I had free reign in the closet there. I would have built a huge box. But all right, here's the 1050. So it looks like it's on 71 as well. Yep, and they've got it set at 71. So, oh, that's showing the downstairs. Let's see what the upstairs. Well, same thing. Upstairs is set at 71 and it is 71 degrees. So they said it balances really perfectly and they really like it. I gotta believe that the workers here have been opening the doors an awful lot and the humidity is a little bit high. Compressor's running at 77% right now. This door has been staying closed, which is the hallway door. And so I think when the workers are out of here and the house is completely finished, the doors will be more open all the time. I think this one shows an overview if you touch the little house right there. I thought it did. Okay, you may have to actually go into it. Yeah, there's the overview. So it's 71 in both places and set on 71 in both places. So the homeowner and I are both anxious for them to see the power bill. I certainly want them to see it as much as they want to see it. So I'm sure they got the weather app all set up and everything. Yeah, it's 94 degrees outside right now. And with all this work going on in here, we're holding 71 degrees and our compressor is running at 77%. I'm pretty happy with it. Should have power to spare. That's one big thing that I like about variable equipment is a little bit of oversizing doesn't kill you like it does with a single stage machine. So when they have 10, 15 people in here, they can come yank that thing down a few degrees and you got the power to kick in. So they're happy, we're happy. We are quite impressed, as always, with the Trane 20 S.E.E.R systems and the zoning controls. So I'll say it once again, it's great to be a Trane dealer. Thanks for watching.